One day, a wise teacher named Mrs. Johnson had a special lesson planned for her young students. It was a sunny Monday morning, and the children buzzed with excitement, curious about what they would learn that day. Mrs. Johnson began by handing each student a potato and a marker. "Today," she said, "I want you to think of someone you don't like, or someone who has hurt your feelings. Write their name on this potato." The children exchanged puzzled looks but did as they were told. Some wrote down one name, others wrote two or three, and a few students even had 5 names to write. Once everyone was done, Mrs. Johnson handed out plastic bags and asked the students to place their potatoes inside. "Now," Mrs. Johnson continued, "I want you to carry this bag with you everywhere you go for 1 whole week. Keep it with you at all times, even when you sleep." At first, the children didn't think much of it. They played, attended their lessons, and went about their days with their potato bags in tow. However, as the days passed, something started to happen. The potatoes began to rot. By Wednesday, the bags emitted a foul smell. The children began to complain. "Mrs. Johnson, my bag stinks," cried Emily. "It's so heavy," groaned Jacob, who had written 5 names on his potatoes. "Do we really have to carry them all week?" they asked. But Mrs. Johnson remained firm. "Yes, you must carry them until the end of the week." By Friday, the smell was unbearable. The children were frustrated and tired of carrying their heavy, smelly bags. They could barely focus on their schoolwork and felt embarrassed when other students noticed the smell. Finally, the week came to an end. Mrs. Johnson gathered the children in a circle and asked, "How did you feel carrying the potatoes with you all week?" The children eagerly shared their feelings. "It was awful," said Sarah. "The smell was so bad, and it just got worse every day." "It was heavy and made everything harder," added Ben. Mrs. Johnson listened patiently and then said, "This experience was to teach you an important lesson. The potatoes represent the hatred and grudges you carry in your heart. Just like the potatoes became rotten and unbearable, so does hatred when you hold on to it. It contaminates your heart and makes your life harder." She continued, "If you cannot tolerate the smell of rotten potatoes for just 1 week, can you imagine what it is like to carry hatred in your heart for a lifetime? Forgiving others and letting go of your anger is the best way to free yourself from this burden." The children nodded, understanding the powerful message. They realized that holding on to anger and hatred only hurt themselves. From that day on, they decided to practice forgiveness and kindness.